Hey guys, it's Nicholas here from upgradeTolife.com, and in this video we are going to talk about why there is no one to change but self, the cornerstone on which all things are based. So by the end of this video you will learn and you will have realized that the self that Neville is talking about here, because this is a quote by Neville actually, there's no one to change but self, goes deeper than just what do you think. It's not changing about your appearance, it's not changing about your looks or your actions or your thoughts. It's going a little bit deeper. It has to do with a deep internal shift, okay? That is the only thing that you need to do in order to change your life. You don't need to change other people. You don't need to try to change others so that they give you what you want. It's more so just changing you, and then things will automatically happen in your life conforming to this internal change. And also why this is the cornerstone of everything. Why, when you only focus on this, you're very good to go for your whole life. So let's jump into this video. And I want to start with a quote. So there is no one to change but self. And that self, the self is not your body, right? It's not your mind, your body, but the self is simply your awareness, your consciousness. And the world in which it lives is determined by the concept you hold of self. It is to consciousness that we must turn as to the only reality. And in one video, I will link this above and also below, you will find this here. I have a video which is called How to Completely Shift Your Identity, right? How to completely shift your concept of self, basically, and manifest your goals. So I highly recommend you watch this if you haven't yet. There's a long, exhaustive and extensive process where I'm going to break everything down and explain things step by step by step. So watch this, and in there we figured out that the reality creation process, it consists of many parts. Like we have actions, we have emotions, we have thoughts, we have beliefs, and the deepest shift possible actually is when we change things in the root, like when we make a shift in consciousness, when we make a shift in our self-concept, a shift in who we are, a shift in our identity, okay? So that is what I explain in this video more, so definitely watch it. And Neville says it right here, right? The self that we want to basically change is not us, okay? But the self is actually, we are basically the concept we hold of the self. Do you understand this, right? There is our true self, this formless, faceless, unbiased self, this consciousness, the awareness, which is aware of our experience. That is the true self, right? The I am. Ask yourself, or when I ask you, who are you? Then you say, I am Max, I am Lisa, I am Erica, whatever, right? You say your name. You say, I am Erica. But try to say who you are without the I am. Who are you? Okay, then you say Erica. But who is Erica? Then you say, I am Erica. But who is this I am? And this is what Neville and all of those teachings in a deeper level, right, refer to as your true self. I am aware of. Before you are something, you first of all are aware of that you are something. Okay, so you have like the conceiver and the concept. And the conception is like you, the ego, the concepts, the identity you put on in this game of life. But before that, you're just aware, you're just pure awareness. And then you have a concept, then you have a role that you play in this game of life that you can shift around right now. When first of all you discover and you realize that you're not bound to this one role. And if this is too deep for you, don't worry, you will get this in the process and in your journey. But that's just how it works, right? There is this true self, the awareness, which is aware of your experience, your true self. And then you have a concept of that self. Basically like a bundle of beliefs, of assumptions, of what you accept and assume to be true, and therefore how you perceive your world, and therefore also how your world perceives you. And that is the real self. So there is no one to change but self, meaning there's no one to change but this self, but to put another concept before that self, right? That self wouldn't experience the world. It needs a concept. Okay, it needs a concept, it needs like a role, it needs like an identity through which it experiences the world, and that is you, who you are. You have a concept of yourself, right? You are the concept, but the real self again is the awareness. So I hope by now you got this, right? So there's no one to change but self. And that self simply is your awareness, your consciousness. And the world in which it lives is determined by the concept you hold about the self, which is your identity, right? Your self-concept, which I'm going to explain here. You can shift this in exactly this video. So let's continue, right? To attempt to change the world before we change our concept of selves is to struggle against the nature of things. There can be no outer change until there is first an inner change. And that is how it works, like period. Right? There can be no outer change unless there is an inner change. As within, so without. Like those 4 words, they literally describe how life works. It is those 4 words, okay? As within, so without. It sounds so stupidly simple, but when you really dig deep, when you really become aware, when you really test this, when you really see this, you know it. Like, this is it. And I'm not advocating philosophical indifference when I suggest that we should imagine ourselves as already that which we want to be, living in a mental atmosphere of greatness rather than using physical means and arguments to bring about the desired change. Do you understand this? Right? So, like using physical means or arguments to trying to change people, change situations, change things around will only give you short-term results. You need to change within first. It sounds simple, but it's not always simple. Right, there are always some things you have to watch out for. There are some things that you have to learn and to abide by, to live by, so that this becomes your new life principle. I have a free masterclass. I will link this underneath this video. I highly recommend you watch this because in there I explain this more, this one life principle. Okay. So Neville continues and he says the most remarkable feature of man's future is determined by his attitudes rather than his acts. Okay, so people think that it is their actions that determines what they get. People think that when they act differently, they will get different results. People think that when they do things differently, they will get different results. But more important than that, and actually Neville explained it in a perfect way, is your attitude towards life. How do you see life? Do you see life is awesome? You will get more of this. Do you see life sucks? You'll get more of this. It is actually as easy as that, right? Like I said, there's a lot of stuff to it, but that is what Neville is explaining is right now. And then he continues and he says, the core stone on which all things are based is man's concept of himself. And I know I have many videos, and I know I have already most probably talked about this quote in many videos, but it's just so important. Right? When you see other things as the core stone, your looks or how you clothe or what you do and stuff like that, that's still not the core stone. All of this is to some degree important, but the core stone is always the concept, which means when you try to change other things, that's basically changing stuff at the surface level. But when this isn't in alignment with your concept, then you will fall back to the current concept that you have of yourself. And therefore don't hold the results, don't have long-lasting results. So Neville continues and he says, he, meaning you, the man, people, acts as he does and has the experiences that he does because his concept of himself is what it is, and for no other reason. Had he a different concept of self, he would act differently. A change of concept of self automatically alters his future. And this is also super important. Because this is now, the next quote, we are going to figure out why there is no one to change but self. Okay? And why you don't have to worry about changing other people. Because Neville says, those who help or hinder us, whether they know it or not, are the servants of the law, which shapes outward circumstances in harmony with our inner nature. It is our conception of ourselves which frees or constrains us, though it may use material agencies to achieve its purpose. Okay, I wanna nitpick this quote. So those who help or hinder us, meaning just people who help us in our journey, who are good or bad to us, right? Who help us or who don't help us. people who come to us and who are good, people who show us appreciation, who show us love, or people who hinder us in the things that we want to do in our lives, whether they know it or not, but the truth is that they are servants of this whole law that we are covering in this video, which is that the outward circumstances and those people, they are in harmony with your inner nature, with your inner concept, with what you accept and hold to be true within yourself. So your conception of yourself, your core identity. Again, if this sounds difficult to you, watch my free masterclass. I explain how you can shift that identity of yours in this masterclass, how you can shift that self-concept of yours. So your self-concept, that determines if you are free or if you're constrained, right? If you live in freedom, if you're imprisoned, basically. And it expresses your self-concept. It's getting expressed through other people, through circumstances, through the things in your life. Everything, every situation, every event, every person is yourself pushed out and just showing you who you are within yourself, reflecting that back to you. And because life molds the outer world to reflect the inner arrangement of your minds, there is no way of bringing the outer perfection we seek other than by transformation of ourselves. That is how important this is. That is why there is no one to change but self. When you try to change people, you're not really playing the game of life correctly. I have a video called The Game of Life. I also will link this above. But in order to play the game of life, you first need to accept, realize, and understand that you are the cause. That's it. As within, so without. Accept that right now. Just make the decision that you're going to accept this right now. This is super important, okay? And when you see this, there is no one to change but that, because you will then automatically view people differently, view different situations differently. You will automatically have your wanted imaginal acts about situations. This will come naturally when you shift the core level of yourself. Neville, remember that, okay? Neville wrote 10 books, and I read nearly all of them. And he talks about self-concept and shifting identity, letting go of the old limitations and claiming yourself to be that which you want to be. And he did this for a reason. I mean, he talked about self-concept so many times. He didn't just do this out of fun because he wanted to say to the world, he was bored and he just wanted to write all of this stuff. This is a deep and true understanding and fundamental of life. Okay? Don't focus so much on others. They will only ever mirror back to you your internal state, right? There is no one to change but self. You will know when you have succeeded in fixing the desired state in consciousness by simply looking mentally at the people you know. In dialogues with yourself, you are less inhibited and more sincere than in actual conversations with others. Therefore, the opportunity for self-analysis arises when you are surprised by your mental conversations with others. Meaning, when you internally shift into another state, right? When you shift into the state of maybe being more wanted, maybe being more financial abundant, maybe being now in a relationship, then you have a different relationship with the world automatically. And you have automatic different conversations with your friends, family members, people that you know. So you can check in with yourself by looking at how you talk inwardly with other people. I have a video, I will link this above. It's called Frame of Reference, in which I explain this step by step and how you can use this for yourself to see if you have already moved into your ideal state and have already occupied this new state of consciousness, this new self-concept. And if you see them, if you see your friends and family members as you formerly saw them, you have not changed your concept of self, meaning you're still the same person, right? Self-concept just means basically what you accept and assume and hold to be true about yourself. It's like a bundle of beliefs and thoughts and assumptions in all of your life areas, okay? And if you've not changed this, then you will experience that in your imagination that your friends will see you the same. And you've not changed your self-concept. For all changes of concept of self result in a changed relationship to your world. And now it's very important, okay? There is nothing to change but your concept of self. As soon as we succeed in transforming ourselves, our world will dissolve and reshape itself in harmony with that which our change affirms. Everything we do, unaccompanied by change of consciousness, is but futile readjustment of surfaces. Okay, it's just you scratching the surface level, but always falling back and always having the same patterns, always having the same things playing out in your life. However we toil or struggle, we can receive no more than our assumptions affirm. To protest against anything which happens to us is to protest against the law of our being and our rulership over our own destiny. So you cannot fight this law. You cannot escape this law. Realize this. It's really a law. It's a universal law that as within, so without, that your internal state determines your life. And when you really accept this, when you really get this, when you live by this, when you know that this is true, you will feel the freedom that comes with this. It's a relief. It's a knowing that you are in full responsibility of your life. And it's awesome. I promise you. It's really awesome. And that's it for this video, guys. That's it. Realize that there is no one to change but self. Don't try to change other people. Don't focus so much on them. It happens automatically. Like Neville said, it happens automatically. When you change your self-concept and the state you live in, the state of consciousness, automatically people will respond to you differently and you will respond to them differently. So when you occupy the state, for example, of being wanted, being loved, being adored, being cherished, being this awesome person that everyone wants to be around, then guess what? Other people have no other option than to reflect that back to you, if this is a desire of yours. But this is true for all areas of your life, whether it's health, whether it's wealth, whether it's relationships, whether it's just your relationships to people in general. It literally doesn't matter. Life doesn't matter what you claim yourself to be. It will only reflect back to you your claims, your assumptions, your what you accept and told to be true about yourself. So before you try to imagine people giving you different things, doing different things, it's all great. But when you not first of all change your concept of self, it's very hard. You will always fall back. You will always feel like a victim. So work on this and then everything will fall into place more and more and more. This law will become more easier for you and you will see shifts in your life, which is my goal for you to experience those. So if you have questions on that, definitely put them in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate all of your likes, all of your comments, all of your subscriptions to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then do it right now. If you want to work with me, I also offer a free 45-minute consultation call where I'm going to diagnose your situation and see if we're a good fit to work together. And besides that, thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.